city manager. Welcome to the members of the board. Maybe it would be Mr. Creech, maybe when you start, just do some quick introductions, or we can do it right now.
I would appreciate it too, because I know I have these people out.
Well, you were at the last meeting.
Oh, I understand that.
Mr. Hudson is the one who's not at the last meeting.
I don't think we've had an introduction at all.
Was Ms. Peak going to be here? Is Ms. Peak going to be here?
Yeah, it's going to tax foreclosure in,
I think sure she's saying, well, last time I talked to her, she does.
nice house.
She's not. She has a term.
I don't know. So we said that last time.
I think the
Oh, no, she would have been done as secretary.
I don't think so.
I think the mother does.
I'm not gonna, no,
The last pictures and
I'll reach out.
issues that they're.
okay, you can, but I mean, as far as secretary goes, you know, that's some stuff. I had rules. Right?
Is he a murder suspect?
You keep it says they know.
They live in Texas. West was the.
Last week before, I'll be out.
Hey. Hi. I'm sorry. Nice to meet you. I'm like, oh, your term is it?
Shared
Oh, I wish you had said something.
Hey, this is, and that's the one thing I've got to do.
Oh, did you mention the, member adding the,
Yes.
Okay, I want to know if she's not.
no, I had a meeting discussion before you went to the steering committee.
No, we've only got 5 sheets.
I need to add an item to the agenda. I told you.
Adding items to the, it's on your own.
Never reached out to touch with the kids.
Okay.
We'd like, so we have the steering committee that are gonna meet outside of the meetings to discuss the zoning ordinance updates before it goes to PC and ZBA each month. So we have members of the planning commission, we have members of the council, EPA, and members of the ZBA.
That was, the question is,
ZBA members are what?
sitting, as per state, we sit in sitting.
No, we're using that one.
Planning commission.
Here, any of your mics on?
No, it's the
Not yet.
podium. It's the podium. But I think we're gonna start now, right?
So are you good with adding that one? So turn on your mics? Or if you go to ask.
That's fine.
Where are we adding?
We need to add, that we are creating a steering committee for the zoning ordinance amendment. So we're gonna need members.
That would be G under the business.
Correct.
It was about changing just the contact
Mr. Creechall, to the roll call, okay?
Okay, I'm just gonna say,
Are they ready to start? Should I tell them? Okay, ready when you are. Oh, I'm
You-
sorry, I didn't hear that.
yeah, are you gonna do roll call? You want me to?
I got it.
That's what I thought.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Roll call. Member Peak? Member Stokes? Member Swierkos?
Here.
Member Hall Rayford?
Here.
Member Creech?
Here.
Member Wilson? Member Gladney?
Here.
Member Hudson Senior?
Here.
Member Lubeck?
Here.
So we have our quorum.
Well, just, you know, better note that, Shirley Pekin,
We're excused. Yep.
Number 2, approval of the agenda. I
I understand administration needed to add something to the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if we could, we would like to add item D, to select a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the steering committee that will be working in conjunction with City Council, Planning Commission, DDA, the City Planners and Administration on the zoning ordinance amendments.
What's the pleasure?
I move we approve the agenda with the addition of the appointment to someone for the steering committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, Member Hall Rayford,
Yes.
Member Lubeck,
Yes.
Member Gladney,
Yes.
Member Swierkos,
Yes.
Chair Creech,
Yes.
Member Hudson Senior.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. Did you have anything you wanted to add to the agenda?
No, I don't know.
Hearing the public, I don't see anybody here, so moving on. Unfinished business. It says, I'm sorry.
Approve the minutes.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just getting ready to say, I don't have the names. I don't have the names.
The agenda?
I understand this, but, yeah, I have, do you have the,
Packet?
you have the names? I'm sorry, I did.
Do you mean for roll call, for
Yeah.
voting? I think Miss Holman's doing that,
Yes.
correct?
Okay, I apologize.
So we're on approval of the minutes.
I would move that we approve the minutes as presented for March 17th, 2022.
I'll support.
I do see a couple of changes, just small changes to these minutes. On page 2, where it says, where they're talking about nominations, it says Stokes declined nomination. I think that should be Peak, the nomination for secretary. And on page 3, Chairperson Wilson took advice from the board to go article by article. I think that was advice from our council. Those are the only changes I would note to the minutes.
Page 6 as well, where you guys have me down for yay and nay twice for approving the minutes for 5 minutes as well as 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Member Gladney, can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry. Page?
Page 6, on page 6, there was a motion to support the chairperson, Wilson, to change the minutes to 5 minutes for each person to 3 minutes. And so I was saying nay to 3 minutes and yay for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Any other changes?
Okay, on page 6, just a typo. There's a discussion, it says section 3, Lubeck commented regarding the fine minute time limit should probably be 5 minutes.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Anybody else?
Yeah, I just noticed another one on there.
Thank you.
Same page.
Yeah, just a little bit farther down, should be 3 minutes rather than the minutes. Motion by Hall Rayford, supported by Chairperson Wilson. Should be an R in there.
Got it, thank you.
please state that motion?
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the corrected items to appear at the next meeting.
And I'll support that.
Member Hall Rayford,
Yes.
Member Lubeck,
Yes.
Member Swirsky,
Yes.
Member Creech,
Yes.
Member Gladney,
Yes.
Member Hudson Senior.
Yes.
Under unfinished business, we have none. Public hearing? No one present. Under new business, discussion of draft revised bylaws.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead and speak. Okay. If you notice, if you've gone through that, the changes that were identified a few weeks ago are in red. So basically is you just need to go through and see if that's how it's exactly what was supposed to be said. But like I said, keep in mind, and how the guidelines of the zoning board enabling act is, this is pretty well spelled out exactly how it's to conduct business in the state of Michigan.
Excuse me, as is read, Article 2, Section 2, attendance. ZBA shall notify the city administrator and chairman in advance if they are going to be absent from a meeting to be considered delinquent. Delinquency shall be grounds the East Detroit City Council to remove the member for non-performance of duty to misconduct after holding hearing. The ZBA secretary shall keep attendance records and shall notify scheduled meetings. The council consider further action 3 consecutive meetings regularly scheduled so the city council can consider further action allowed. Since we do not have regular meetings, how are we going to determine this?
I believe
Go ahead.
that the discussion that we had last month entailed using the schedule, and if for any reason a meeting is canceled, it's just canceled.
Oh.
And so that won't be counted against someone.
We did make amendments or revisions to Article 4 concerning meetings to state that meetings will be held as required, and if there's no business scheduled, the chairperson may cancel the meeting. So that's also in our bylaws.
Well, that's the question that I ascertained is the same thing about it, since we don't have consecutive meetings, and it says consecutive, so should the word be taken out? Somebody shaking his head, no, I'm just asking.
Consecutive scheduled meetings. That doesn't mean they have to
Okay,
be every
right.
month. It could be a meeting, 3 months pass.
Okay.
And then a meeting, that's the second consecutive meeting that's been called. 2 months pass, we have a meeting, that would be a third consecutive
Well,
meeting that's been called.
I just want to make sure that the same thing about that, since we don't have them every month. It'd be like, and if certain circumstances come up, and you couldn't make those meetings. To the term of exactly what you're trying to say here, since we don't have we have a scheduled meeting, but we only, when there's business. So leave it as read, 3 consecutive scheduled meetings.
Mr. Chair, if you're looking at me to, for my opinion, if it should be left as is, I would recommend yes.
Yeah, I was looking at it and saying it's, because it's been so long, and the same thing about it, the word consecutive means one thing, but in some of these committees, it just doesn't. And then that's under section 3 for training. I noticed we have something, you know, on the minutes per se. I don't know if I should wait for new business under schedule, meeting date for joint training sessions in the planning commission, or the revised bylaws. What should that come under?
Mr. Chairman, the ZBA should just discuss each of the items under new business, A, B, C, and D in order. If the ZBA so chooses, a member could make a motion to approve the proposed revised bylaws as attached to this evening's agenda, and then a vote could be had if there's a second. So the chairperson could call to see if there is a vote to approve the draft revised bylaws, see if there's a vote to approve in a second, and then the secretary can call the roll. Unless there's additional sections that the members would like to see either revised or added.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised draft of the Zoning Board of Appeals bylaws dated April 13, 2022, and attached to our packet for tonight's meeting.
Member Swirsky?
Yes.
Opposed? Member Lubeck?
Yes.
Member Gladney?
Yes.
Member Hall Rayford?
Yes.
Member Hudson Senior?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, and Member Creech.
Yes.
My apologies, sir.
Article B is review of the draft preference, and I think we've already accomplished that, but is that? Right here. The draft?
Again, Mr. Chair, you do have to just, someone has to make a motion to accept it, second it, and then roll call again as that as well.
Okay, do we have to read it, or?
No?
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the zoning board of appeals preface.
I support.
Can we have discussion on this?
Absolutely.
Okay. I noticed it says 5 members constitute a quorum. I may be mistaken, but I thought for our purposes, 4 members was a quorum. A quorum is a majority of the regular members of the board. Is that?
Well, what it is this is how it's gonna be for the future. They're changing the ordinance on the number of members. So this way, this is just gonna be put on the record. We will maintain this till everybody's term expires. And then when the ordinance changes, hopefully in July of this year, well, actually it's spread out over 10 months or 8 months, then that will take effect at that time.
Okay, so when the ordinance is revised, there will be 9 regular members? Does that
It'll be
sound like what we're
it'll be
in?
5 and 2 alternates.
Okay.
So we're only gonna have a 5-member board with 2 alternates.
And all 5 have to be present for a quorum?
That's what you're
No,
saying.
only 3 will have to be present for a quorum.
Okay, so we will
Yeah, we will
then
always
revisit
have
this
a quorum.
preface after the zoning ordinance is revised.
I'm still confused.
No, it's what it is, okay, you know how to do that? Sure. The legal action here.
Excuse me, the sun's just starting to drop, so it's, I'm having a hard time seeing the board, but the way, if there are 7 members, a quorum would be 4.
Right.
If the city is going to be reducing the membership of the zoning board of appeals ultimately to 5 members, then the quorum would be 3. So that can be reflected in the document that's before the zoning board of appeals tonight to just change around those numbers. So I believe the member is correct that instead of 5, it should be 4.
Shall we just change it at this time?
Yes.
I'm asking for your advice. Should we just say a majority of the regular members shall constitute a quorum so that we don't have to come back in however many months and change it from 4 to 3?
Well, I believe it would still need a change if they're planning to reduce it from 7 members to 5 members with 2 alternates. It's still going to need to be revised to show that.
Right, I'm just suggesting that instead of putting the number itself, 5, 4, 3, that we just say a majority of the regular members constitute a quorum.
You
I
might
think that's
get in,
consistent with
I'm
our,
concerned with the word regular, because there are regular members of this board and there are alternates.
correct, and when an alternate is called to serve, they act as a regular member, and I think this language is consistent with our bylaws and with the Zoning Enabling Act. There's this section in there about quorum. I can give you the MCL if you'd like, or our council can advise us on that, but I think that should simply say a majority of the regular members shall constitute a quorum.
I think either,
Agree.
either choice would be acceptable. It all goes to what the board here wishes to have in that language, but I think either way would be acceptable, yes.
Okay.
Just as long as if you are going to go with a number, it should not be 5, it should be 4.
Correct.
Okay, so now I need to amend the motion.
Yeah, if there's going to be discussion on which.
I don't think you can amend a motion you didn't make.
Well, she did make a motion to approve the preface, the draft preface.
Actually, I believe I made the motion
Oh,
to
did you?
approve it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So we're just going a little.
We're just a
while
couple
here.
minutes down the
I don't
road
know,
and
that
I've
was
already
10 minutes
forgotten.
ago.
And a 20-minute meeting has gone past. too.
I know. I do have more comments on this, so I'm really sorry. It's not gonna be anything like the bylaws, but
Well, make all your comments so we only have to revise the
Please.
motion once.
Yeah, please make
Okay.
all your comments.
so shall I move on from that, or do we need a motion to say that we're changing that language?
Well, I think we've agreed we're gonna go 7, 2, and 4
Right.
on this. For now, since we're going to have to update it later anyway.
Well, the zoning board of appeals can go through it, and each of the members can indicate their preference for which choice or which selection they would prefer. You just go around the table.
Okay, so do we prefer a definite number, 4, or a majority of the regular members shall constitute a quorum? Is that what you're suggesting? Okay.
Well, if we say majority, we won't have to change it.
We are still gonna have to change it because here we are specifying 7 members and 2 alternates. If they change it to 5 members and 2 alternates, this is still gonna need to be updated.
Oh, no, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying, but if we're going to try to predict what's going to happen, it seems to me like it'd be easier to just say 4. I mean, the majority, because if we're gonna have 5 members, this majority would constitute a quorum.
Either way, it's a really simple fix in the future, so.
Excuse me, did you say it's a simple?
It's a simple, it's a
In the
simple,
future,
simple fix.
are we gonna have 5 members or 7 members?
I don't know.
See,
I'm not in charge.
Yeah, if it's that simple, it just,
I'm sure the steering committee will be making recommendations on that.
Okay, so shall we maybe go down the line and say which
Yeah.
we prefer?
Let's start at that end or at this end.
The majority of members.
I agree with the majority of the regular members.
majority of the members.
Majority.
Majority.
Very well. Do we need a motion to make each one of these changes? I'm not sure on the procedure.
We,
He has to amend it now.
Yeah, it's,
well, I'm suggesting she make all her recommendations. We can settle those and then just make one motion to approve the revised preface.
Be the cleanest way to handle it.
Okay. Does anybody else have any discussion on the preface, or am I the only one who's? No. Okay.
Don't be afraid, just let us have it.
kick it out there.
All right. the very next sentence, a majority vote is required. I think we amended our bylaws to say a majority vote of those present and voting. I think for clarity, that may be helpful there. And then for approval or denial on an issue, I think when I look at that, it seems like you have to have a majority to deny it. So if we're 6 members sitting up here, there's an issue before us, and 3 vote to approve and 3 vote to not approve, there's not a majority either way. This may be a little bit of semantics, but I think it may be cleaner to say a majority vote of the members present and voting is required for a motion for a final decision of the ZBA.
Since
Well,
the total membership is an odd number, if we say majority, wouldn't that cover that?
That's hard.
Well,
And if we were in a situation, as we are tonight with 6 members, and it went to a 3-3 vote, no decision is made and it would have to be handled at the next meeting.
is that how we do it? It's just.
Mm-hmm.
And typically,
Okay.
the decisions of this board are either approving a variance or denying a variance, so.
Okay.
Or approving or denying wording in a preface, or bylaws.
Okay, so no changes there then. Sounds like we agree that that language is fine as it is written.
Next.
Okay. If the appellant should disagree with the board's decision, he or she has a right to take it to the circuit court within 30 days of the decision. I would like it to say has a right to appeal to the circuit court. I think it's a little bit more formal and really spells out the applicant's appellate rights rather than just saying take it to. Okay.
Okay, seems to me like I remember something saying there is no appeal beyond the zoning board. And that's why it has to go to.
You are probably referring to the formal statement that is generally read when we have people coming in front of us for variances. And it's in that last paragraph, the
Yeah.
decisions of the ZBA are final. Any petitioner aggrieved by the decision of the board must appeal to the Macomb County Circuit Court. The city council has no authority to hear appeals from the ZBA.
What page are you on?
That's the formal.
That's a formal statement. That was in some of the material we received this evening.
Now, are we still reading this before, will we have someone before us?
That will be read at every meeting when someone is coming in front of us for an appeal hearing.
The new preface is replacing the old formal statement. The formal statement will not be read no longer. The preface, the new zoning board of appeals preface will be the one you'll be reading.
Well, that brings it into a different light because
Yes, it does.
A, B, C, and D on that formal statement are what is to guide this board's decisions. And without making that clear to the people that are coming in front of us for an appeal, I think is going to cause a lot of confusion.
Well, on an application, it's already, they have to write an answer for practical difficulty. They have to write a description of a unique situation. It's not self-created, not or contrary to the ordinance of the ordinance. And what's that? The last one. But they have to fill. There's actually 5, but as far as that. But if you cannot get past practical difficulty, when any person is coming up here to doing a zoning appeal, you can't go any farther. You have to achieve the practical difficulty aspect of the appeal. So if you don't go over that, or get past that, initially, after you go through everything, you still can't find the actual practical difficulty, you really are not allowed to grant, or not supposed to grant the appeal process. And it's, there'll be on the application that will, and it is spelled out for the applicant, and the applicant is explained to the applicant in that fashion.
So, go ahead.
So the formal statement will be a part of the packet. It's just that what will be read at the start of the meeting is the shorter version that talks about the practical difficulties. So everybody still will be on notice of what the aspects are.
Okay. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. And so the criteria that used to be in the formal statement are somewhat redundant to the application. They would already be on notice that those are standards we review. So we don't need to read them at length in the preface. Correct? Okay.
And it says most ZBA matters concern requests for variances. ZBA considers only non-use variances. Non-use variances, often called a dimensional variance, and usually deals with setback, height, and land area requirements. Is that all we're dealing with?
That statement is no longer going to be in. You can just throw that away. We're not going to have that no longer. The old formal statement is no longer. We just put it in there so you could just see the difference, that's all. It was just a reference point, but the new zoning board of appeals preface, the draft that says April 13th, 2022 is what will be used at every appeals meeting. We have an applicant. In the beginning, and when you go into new, actually this should be on here on the agenda as well, is the preface. No, but reading it on the agenda when you, that, before you go into, the actual case, that's what it's supposed to be. Yeah, we will be making we're just making notes here of changing the agenda as well.
Okay, can I make a comment in regards to that? I've never seen an agenda start out without calling a meeting to order.
Right.
So that needs to be added in there. I guess one of my objections to doing away with the formal statement is actually mostly in item D on the formal statement, and to a lesser degree, item C.
I've always felt that having read that statement tends to take away any excuses of anyone saying, if you're saying it's going to be on the application, and someone says, well, I don't remember seeing that. It just kind of clarifies things, but maybe I've been around too long.
If you've been around too long, I'd hate to say what that means
Well,
for me.
I understand. I'm just saying because that has always seemed to have made a difference when that statement is read at the beginning, so people know exactly what to expect.
And I guess here's my concern with that, and hopefully we can get ordinances a little cleaner. However, knowing what human nature is, typically where D would come into play is someone goes and erects a privacy fence. They don't erect it properly. They get directed to appeal to the zoning board of appeals. Well, you find out that they didn't pull a permit to put this fence up. They put it up wrong, and now they want to be allowed to leave it in the wrong location. if that's not a self-created problem, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
If I may, the applicants actually are going to get this formal statement in writing as part of the packet. It's just a matter of efficiency to read the shorter version. So they actually will have it at the time that matters, which is when they are applying.
And then keep in mind, the first thing, if they cannot get past practical difficulty, it doesn't go any farther. You know, you have to, it's right on here, obtain a non-dimensional variance. Well, how this is written is kind of not a very good example, but if you can't get past practical difficulty, going anywhere else, belaboring any of these things other, like you just said, you're not gonna get it anyhow. And if that were the case at your example, we would have wrote them a citation, and they would have to deal with the citation with the court, not in front of the zoning board of appeals.
Okay, so
That- on
can
that
we
example.
expect that, if someone hasn't pulled a permit to do whatever, that we shouldn't even see it?
The only time they would be coming to is that they pull a permit, obtain a permit, and it was denied, and then they're coming here in front of you. Some way or another, the paper trail, a permit will be involved the time they get here, regardless if it was right or wrong.
I was just asking because we've seen a number that people had pulled permits and.
Well, they didn't pull originally, but they did pull a permit after the fact, because you have to have that to create this case, because it would be denied from the building department. So it would be a straight out denial on our end, and then they can, fill the paperwork out, pay the fee, and get on the schedule to come in front of the zoning board of appeals. But they already would have to go start the process.
Okay, so just to sum this up. Somebody erects a privacy fence that is not in line with our ordinance.
At the time,
They come to the building department. They would have to apply for the permit to put the fence up.
correct.
And then you would deny or final approval of it because it's not put up according to the ordinance.
Correct.
At that point, then, and only then, would they be eligible to appeal to the zoning board of appeals.
Correct. But before they would have filled out that permit, they would have already have been issued a citation, because that's usually only the reason that they're stamped in coming and filling out an application.
Because that typically has not been the
case.
process in the past,
Right, and that's why I was asking that.
which is what some of us are struggling with.
Right. Well, I've changed procedures since I came here back in November, and that's how we're approaching everything, is we write up a violation, and then they have to obtain a permit, and then we have to see if it's allowed or not, installed properly, using that example, in which in this case, if it was installed improperly, it would be denied. This,
On that joyous note, the question is the same thing on the fence. When a person moves in to the area and he has 3 pit bulls or, dogs of certain manner, and he requires a fence, how do you go ahead and determine this and wait for him, in the neighborhood to get this passed?
I'm not sure I understand your question there, Harvey.
Well, the question is if a person moves into our neighborhood, all right, and he wants to put up a privacy fence, if he comes down and the first thing he says is, I have 3 pit bulls, I need a privacy fence. And what happens is the same thing about it, for the nature of the time it takes to get the permit to get this fence up, what does he do in the outcome of it? And maybe that's what, or maybe I'm not exactly.
Well, if I would think in a normal situation, if a homeowner or new homeowner or renter knows that they have 3 animals and the property does not have a proper fence, they would consider not moving there or keep the pups somewhere else before they put the fence up. I mean, I don't think anybody here can actually honestly answer that question.
I think we're discussing a lot of hypotheticals about
Yes.
cases that may or may not come before us in the future, and the agenda item is to discuss the draft of the preface. So, I mean, we have changes or discussion about the preface, I think that's great, but these speculative, hypothetical, what about this privacy fence, what about this permit, I don't think that's,
Excuse me for saying this, the thing about it is if you sit on the opposite side when those people come in, if you're sort of new, you'd see what I'm talking.
yeah.
And I mean, we do it, and I've seen it in the.
Yeah, we're probably gonna hear all kinds of cases.
Oh, you are?
And when we do, I think we'll handle them as best we can, but
Okay,
right now, I think, I don't mean to step on your toes as chair.
What's up? There's no problem whatsoever. I've got big toes and big skin.
Yeah, I don't mean to be disrespectful, I just, think let's talk about the preface. If there's no more discussion on,
I just figured sometimes, excuse me saying this, sometimes a little bit easier to iron it out before you go ahead and put it down. That's all I'm saying. If that will answer a little bit of the servitude, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
understand. I do have one more comment about the preface. I promise this will be the last one. In that same sentence, has the right to take it to the circuit court within 30 days of the decision. I just want to be careful that we're not misleading our residents here. I believe the Zoning Enabling Act specifies the time period that an appeal must be taken. And I have that in front of me, and our counsel can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the Act says an appeal from a decision of a zoning board of appeals shall be filed within whichever of the following deadlines comes first. A, 30 days after the zoning board of appeals issues its decision in writing, signed by the chairperson, if there is a chairperson, or signed by the members of the zoning board of appeals if there is no chairperson. Or B, 21 days after the zoning board of appeals approves the minutes of the decision. I think it's conceivable that the chairperson may not sign our decisions before that 21-day period after our approval of the minutes happens. So I think while the 30 days of the decision is shorthand and a general guideline for our residents, I think it may be more accurate to say has the right to appeal to the circuit court as provided in sections 605 and 606 of the Zoning Enabling Act. That would be my suggestion, so that we're not misleading anybody. Does that sound right, counsel?
Yes.
Would you agree with that change?
Yes. The preface could just indicate, again, I don't know how much specificity the Zoning Board of Appeals wants in its preface. Something could simply indicate that if the applicant should disagree with the board's decision, the applicant has a right to appeal to the Macomb County Circuit Court within the timeframes established by statute or ordinance, and leave it at that.
Yeah.
That way, there's no ambiguity with times where they maybe misinterpret the times and then try to blame the city for their misinterpretation. the city hasn't set forth what those timeframes are. That's established by the legislature. So I would simply say, just putting something effective within the jurisdictional timeframes as established by statute or ordinance. That too, either one.
I like the,
Yeah.
because he actually gives them something,
To look
if
at.
it's a lay person, it gives them a direction to go to.
Right.
So I like the fact that it was section 605 and 606 of the zoning enabling act.
That would be appropriate.
Okay,
That's
I'm
my
gonna-
final comment.
I'm going to make a suggestion on that. That's what happens when you get an old timer up here on the board. If we could incorporate that into the last paragraph on the formal statement and put that into the preface, so that it's absolutely clear to somebody that the city council has no authority to hear the appeals from the ZBA, because I guarantee you if they come in here and they get turned down, you're gonna see them at the next city council meeting whining and complaining that they didn't get their way. They paid their money and they didn't get what they want, which is not what this board is about.
We can add that to the.
So if there's a way we can incorporate those two languages into there, I think it would be a lot more clear and specific.
Sounds good. That's a good point.
I'll agree with that.
I think they certainly have the right to grieve the decision of the ZBA in a public format at the city council, but to know that it's not an appellate, doesn't preserve their appellate
There will-
rights, I think that's very appropriate.
Go ahead and waste your breath.
Yeah, exactly. If you wanna-
Because the
if you
council
wanna
doesn't
hear
have
it
the
before
authority to
council,
do
go ahead.
anything about it.
But yeah,
I would maybe, we should just maybe put the section 605 and 606 in the appeals package to the applicant, and just kind of, and not put it on the preface at all, because they're not going to be getting a copy of the preface. So putting it on the preface is not any, is not going to suffice or do any justice. So you just change the verbiage like you had said, referencing that, which they will already have that paperwork on there, or in the package. We'll include it in the package that we give them.
okay.
So to summarize, if I may, on the preface, if the appellant should disagree with the board's decision, he or she has the right to appeal to the Macomb County Circuit Court within the timeframes established by statute or ordinance. And the city council has no authority to hear appeals from the zoning board of appeals. And then within the actual application, we will include those two sections. Does that sound like a clear summary?
I'm okay with
I think
that.
that's an accurate summary of our discussion, yeah.
In the draft itself, when a public hearing is closed, the board will move on to the deliberation phase in the case before us. So it says, and the appellant should disagree with the board's decision, he or she has the right to take it to circuit court within 30 days of the decision.
They're changing.
That language is going to be changed, Mr.
Okay, I'm just reading what's in front of me.
In fact, for the benefit of whoever the maker of the motion to approve the preface is going to be, Ms. Holman, if you could just read all of the proposed changes, just so the record is clear as to what those proposed changes are. I think that would assist then the maker of the motion and any member who seconds it and any person who votes in favor, provide them with a clear understanding, and anybody watching the meeting as well, perhaps at home, of what these changes are.
As there are quite a few changes, would you advise that maybe we just receive the revised draft and put it on the agenda for the next regularly scheduled meeting? Just, is that
That's a great suggestion.
Okay then, I'll make a motion. And don't anybody second this if you've got anything to say about it, because once you second a motion table, we don't have a discussion. But I want to make a motion to table the zoning board of appeals preference until the next meeting when we can get the revisions in writing to review.
Support.
Member Lubeck?
Yes.
Member Hall Rayford?
Yes.
Member Swierkos?
Yes.
Member Creech?
Yes.
Member Gladney?
Yes.
Member Hudson Senior?
Yes.
Number C, schedule of meeting date for a joint training session with the Planning Commission. Participation required.
Mr. Chair, if I may explain, the city of East Point is considered a redevelopment-ready community through the state, actually the Michigan Economic Development Corporation with the state of Michigan. It's a great tool, great resource. They provide technical assistance grants. The city has been certified for a number of years now as part of our process to recertify as things have been updated and revised by the state. One of the things that they are focusing on is that board and commission members receive sufficient information and training so as to assist them in making their decisions. So what is being proposed, our planning consultants are proposing a joint meeting, actually 2 meetings for both the ZBA and the Planning Commission. The first meeting would be a joint meeting between the two to discuss in general everything, the enabling acts, different things like that. And then after that, each entity would have its own meeting that would go into further detail about the roles and responsibilities. So what we are hoping for is to provide some dates by which this board could meet at a time with the Planning Commission. Now this board meets every third Thursday. Planning Commission is every first Thursday. So it seems like Thursday night it does work for both sets of members. I don't know if suggestion again could be one meeting night, a meeting on a night that's either for either of the boards regularly or even a date in between, sort of a third meeting.
I'd like to suggest a date of May 12th. It's in between the first and third, if it's possible for people to do that.
It would be at 7 p.m. like our regularly scheduled meetings on May 12th. I have no problem with that. I can attend.
Could we get a second date just in case? Perhaps the next month?
Let me ask this question. Is there any appeals coming before the ZBA in May?
At this point, no, and I don't anticipate any.
So that might be a good night right there, since it's a regularly scheduled meeting for one of the groups.
Yeah.
May 19th might be an acceptable date.
I won't be able to attend. And that may be my last month's meeting.
I mean, there's 6 out of 9 of us here tonight. And then there's 7 members of the Planning Commission that would also have to have buy-in on this. So it's not like we're making a final decision tonight.
No, he'll suggest the dates.
I have no objection to the 12th. I just don't know how short a notice that's going to be for those that are not here tonight, as to whether or not they have the availability.
Hold on a second, I'm sorry. Did I get that wrong? Oh, okay, May 12th, and then how about, possibly June 9th? Or an alternative date? between the first Thursday and the third.
I don't have an objection to that.
Neither do I.
Keep in mind, we don't have to actually do it on a Thursday, we can do it at any other given evening, Tuesday or Wednesday as well. You know, it doesn't have to be on a Thursday, you know what I mean? If we can move something, get something closer into May, than extending it out, because again, the certification, and we're trying to get as many members between planning and zoning to get.
Are we looking at a specific date regarding recertification?
Pardon me?
Are we looking at a specific date regarding?
No, but we're just trying to get ahead of the game.
Okay.
You know, because whoever can attend any of these meetings, we'll set up there's other classes you can go on your own, but we want to try and do a joint thing so everybody can intermingle between, you
So
know.
let me take one step back. We need one joint meeting, and then each group will have their
Oh,
Yes.
one joint training session,
right.
and then 2 individual training sessions. So we're only trying to come up with one date.
Correct.
So I guess we can propose based on those that are here tonight, May 12th or June 6th for that combined training session.
You said June 9th?
June 9th. That's the third, on a Thursday. I know he said we didn't have to have it on a Thursday, but I'm a creature of habit. Thursdays work for me. Oh, what am I saying? I probably won't be here in June.
We'll take those dates. That would be the 19th. That date. The 12th may be actually too soon, considering that that would be 1 week before, or 1 week after the planning commission meeting. Yeah, so we'll have to probably push it out. We'll try some dates. I think we have some here that we'll try. Okay, so do we need a motion to do this, or is this?
I'd recommend a motion.
And that motion would,
Be for June 9th? Is that what
would
she
we
said?
be including dates in this, or would we be?
It's fine. Do the planning commission already have dates ahead? I mean, do they, no?
No, this has just been came up when we got the proposal from the planner, so you guys are getting it first.
Okay, and so the 19th, the 12th is too soon. So if
Correct.
we don't do it the 19th, can we do it the 17th or the 18th in May?
Is that?
The 17th is a city council, a scheduled city council meeting.
18th? The 18th.
18th, Wednesday the 18th?
Yes.
Did you just have a conflict on the 19th? Or is it that entire week?
If you do it on the scheduled date of the 19th, that is your normal
just
day to
the-
show.
Yeah.
So if we did it on the 19th, it wouldn't be, just in case there was a ZBA meeting, or our clients are appealed, you can do both at the same evening,
On
on the 19th, your normal scheduled meeting. So we could just,
Typically, they don't cut it that close though with CBA meetings, do they? Because of the notice required?
right, 18 days, so you would, by the end of the month, we'd have to have it.
Okay.
So,
And one of the reasons I was suggesting that in between Thursday was because it wouldn't interfere with the regular meetings.
yeah, I don't anticipate we're gonna have a meeting or a appeal case but I might be wrong. Very slight, but.
Question on that. We may not have an appeal case for the May scheduled meeting, but we did just table our preface adoption, so would that go to June if we don't have a May meeting?
Well, if you schedule this training class for the May 19th, our normal day, we would most likely put that on the agenda for that night.
Okay.
And just do that quick preview with preface, and then move on and open up into, because you will have to do an introduction of, you're having a joint meeting of training.
Okay.
Other than we do have one member here who said they will not be available on the 19th.
It's no big.
I guess what I'm looking at is
Well, it's
if we did,
required, so
if we did the combined training session on the 18th, would we be able to do the ZBA portion of it on the 19th? And that way, if we could do whatever ZBA business we have and then go into the training session.
it's a good idea if it can be prepared that quickly for the back-to-back.
I don't know, yeah, that's something we'd have to check with the planners. Why don't we take the dates of the 19th, June 9th and June 16th, which would then be your next meeting.
And if we can come up with anything sooner, we can email or get a hold of everybody to make sure.
Ms. Walton, I hate to put you on the spot like this, however, what is the likelihood that you'll know, because I think my term is up on the 22nd of May. So I guess I'm asking you to be a bit predictive as to whether or not a possible selection will be made before that or not soon after that.
In terms of your replacement, I've not heard anything about your replacement. They couldn't do anything prior to my understanding, so your expiration would have to be done on the 22nd, and then you would still be serving in your term until it was placed on the agenda to reappoint.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was just wondering.
There's been no conversation at this time in regards to a reappointment or a new appointment for that role.
So in other words, I potentially should plan to be here in June?
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't say that.
I just want to know.
Well, I would suggest if your interest is still, want to be on the zoning board of appeals, that you should put that in writing and say, please reconsider me for reappointment. And that would be case closed.
Well, it's not that I wouldn't want to do it, I just don't think there's much hope of being reappointed.
Don't you serve until you are, am I correct? You serve until you are reappointed or you resign?
Yeah, if I could address that, yeah.
You can't.
When a person's term expires, they're certainly not obligated to attend the meetings in their capacity as a member of the zoning board of appeals, but they also do not have to automatically step down either. They can continue in their position and still have all of the same voting powers until they are either reappointed by the city council or someone replaces them. So that, yes, that is correct. So Ms. Rayford, you could continue in your position until again.
I would love to do that. However, on the 18th and 19th of May, as I was explaining this, I have classes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm good. Classes are from 9 to 12 in the morning.
Oh,
There we go.
Problem solved. Well, my classes are usually in the evening, but I could just remember these are morning classes. What can I say?
Mary.
Pardon me?
Nothing.
Oh, so are we looking for a motion?
Yes, please.
And the dates we are looking for to be included in that motion are?
I have right now Wednesday, May 18th, Thursday, May 19th, Thursday, June 9th, and Thursday, June 16th.
Okay, I make a motion to select those dates for the joint training session with the Planning Commission.
I'll second.
I'm sorry.
That was me, I'll second.
Member Lubeck?
Yes.
Member Sierra-Coast?
Yes.
You have to tell me how to pronounce. I'm butchering your name and
You're
I'm so
very
sorry.
close.
You're going to teach me. Member Gladney?
Yes.
Member Creech?
Yes.
Member Hall Rayford?
Yes.
Member Hudson Senior?
Yes.
Okay. And if I may, we added having a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals as part of the steering committee. Again, we are, for the record, we are putting together a committee, another way of bringing the, again, the development-related boards and commissions together. So city administration, our planners at McKenna, we are having member of city council, the planning commission, the DDA, and then ZBA to participate in the actual revisions that will be going on to the zoning ordinance. And then those revisions will be brought on a regular basis as per the usual standard to the planning commission for recommendation to city council. So the goal, the plan that was put together is that it's an 8-month process. Most likely, the meetings will be during the day, which may be an issue for people that would not be able to attend. We don't expect that every person is going to be at every meeting, but again, it's just so that we are getting input. It's my understanding that Member Stokes, who's not here, had expressed some interest in being. I don't know if there's anybody present right now who is interested in participating.
The days and time on that committee?
That's not been scheduled yet, but it most likely, our planners are in the office Tuesday and Thursday afternoons.
And the time frame, how many days there?
It could be twice a month. Twice a month for 8 months. Or sooner if we're really good. Shall we nominate Member Stokes while he's not here?
I would like, if he has expressed interest in that, I think that we should give him the opportunity to say so before all of us. If he does not, I would be interested with him having first priority for that.
Okay. Why don't we do both?
Pardon?
We could use both of you.
Okay.
Well, again, we don't expect everybody to be at every meeting.
Yeah.
But again, and I think it's also, we also believe that it is a very good opportunity to start having the boards have much more communication, which is something that this administration is looking toward. Not everybody operating in a vacuum. So, should we have a motion to nominate those two, nominate those two?
Can we do that by acclamation?
I'm sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I just feel kind of weird with him not here. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he has privately expressed interest, great, but I don't know, I feel like he should have the opportunity to confirm in front of us that he's, do you feel very confident that this is something he definitely wants to do? Because I don't want to put it on him and then have him be like, oh shoot, I really don't think I have time for that, or my other work demands won't let me participate.
Well, if he does, he can always
Right.
step down.
He can, okay. As long as that option is there for
Okay.
him, I don't want to put duties on him that.
It's
May
voluntary,
not agree to.
not mandatory.
Yeah, not compulsory.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you.
Call the roll? Ready? Member Lubeck,
Yes.
Member Hall Rayford,
Yes.
Member Creech,
Yes.
Member Gladney,
Yes.
Member Swear-Coast,
Yes.
and Member Hudson Senior, who seems to
Yes.
always be at the end of the list. Okay. Thank you all. I believe we're moving to board member comments.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm just going to say, board member comments. Anyone want to? Mr. Lubeck.
I'm excited that we're actually going to do some formal training. I'm long overdue.
Well, been an interesting meeting. We're almost an hour past the time I wanted to be out of here. I mean, you gotta have fun, right? I think we should get a water pistol to kind of keep some things from going overboard. I'm sorry, I'm tired.
Shock
take
how
any
it works
offense
too.
at
That's basically it. I would love to actually stay on the zoning board because the city has invested quite a bit of money in the classes and training that I've had, which would be pointless. But, I wanted the training, I took it, and so it would be nice if I could do this for another 2 years before I'm too old to walk on my own. But that's it.
Well, I look forward to learning more about the committee and our duties, going through it. It's been an interesting meeting this evening.
Nothing. Thank you. I've spoken enough tonight.
Very productive meeting. That's all I have to say.
Very, very productive, and I'm hoping I got all this straightened out. I'm staying here with paperwork and dates and a little bit of this, and we're not going to use this, and we're not going to use that, and we're not going to do this, and we're not going to, sooner or later, hopefully this committee and the same thing about it. I have one aspiration, an idea where this committee should go, and some other people have different ideas. So hopefully, that with the help of the rest of the committee, we can go forward and things will get done.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry, you have something to say?
I was to say one thing, young man, the young down there, wasn't here when we passed out that paperwork, but we provided some enabling acts of the planning, enabling acts of the zoning, and then Open Meetings Act as well. That's all for you to take home and read through it, which is going to be, that's pretty much everything in those packages is everything you're going to be learning and training. So, and then the instructor will give you real life type of examples and stuff like that. So look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thanks, look
Thank
forward
you.
to it.
Make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'm sorry, I did support sometimes.
She did support?
He
Oh.
offered support as well. We have support.
Motion to adjourn. Member Swerkos,
Yes.
Member Hudson Senior,
Yes.
Member Gladney,
Yes.
Member Hall Rayford,
Yes.
Member Creech,
Yes,
Member Lubeck.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
meeting adjourned.